What if I can turn my voice into other voices or instruments?
And this by keeping the nuanced details of the original voice.
Like it does with my French-Canadian accent when I say words like parallèle.
Et ça, même si je commence à parler en français avec mon bel accent québécois.
So that was done with SoundID VoiceAI. And I have to say that it's quite impressive. So let's have a look. Now, if we look at VoiceAI, this is a plugin, okay, that you insert on a channel where you want to replace the voice, and it's very simple to use. First, you have the list of voices available, and also the Creative tab will give you instruments available, which is quite cool. Now we're talking about drums. Okay, and we'll look at that later in the video. There's also bass, which is quite cool. Okay, so that means that you can use your own voice to create like a bass line or a drum groove, okay? And again, just stick around because we're going to look at that later. Now we're talking about 50 voices and instruments you can work with to add to a voice, which is pretty nice. So I'm going to go back to Rebecca, which is the first on the list. If you want to preview a voice, you just click on the voice.
This is my voice.
And it's going to preview itself automatically.
This is my voice.
This is my voice.
And then you select the one that fits the best with your voice recording. The cool thing is that we have the characteristics of each voice listed. So for example, Rebecca, it's a female, adult, bright, warm as far as the voice goes, raspy a bit, you know. And it also gives you the best input pitch the voice sounds the best at, which can be pretty useful. So now I have this lead vocal.
You need to face the time you're wasting.
So if I want to replace this voice with one out of the list, I select the voice of my choice. Let's stick with Rebecca, and I'm going to capture the recording.
You need to face the time you're wasting.
Once I'm done, I'm going to start processing the minute I select a voice. And that will take some time to process. And that will depend on how long of a recording you have voice AI analyzed.
You need to face the time you're wasting.
That's actually pretty cool. Okay, let's go with the music.
You need to face the time you're wasting.
And as you can tell, it keeps the same nuanced details of the original recording, and this is pretty impressive. But that also means that if your original recording is pitchy, the AI voice is also going to be pitchy because it's going to respect the original recording, okay? Let's try Simon.
This is my voice.
So I select a new one, click again on processing. Now I don't need to reanalyze that recording, just need to reprocess.
You need to face the time you're wasting.
All right, let's go with Patrick.
This is my voice. You need to face the time you're wasting.
All right, with the music.
You need to face the time you're wasting.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay, let's listen to the original.
You need to face the time you're wasting.
Let's bring back AI.
You need to face the time you're wasting.
Is the goal here to replace the full lead vocal sound I have? My answer is no. I love the original recording and there's no way I'm going to replace it with an AI alternative. First of all, the original recording sounds better. It's normal. Rex is a great performer, great singer, and you know, the performance is just right. But it's still impressive on what I'm getting here with Voice AI. All right, so I'm going to keep this one disabled because I'm not going to use it on the lead vocal, but I'm going to use it as a vocal effect for this lead vocal. For example, I have this second line here.
It's your responsibility.
And what I want to add is a doubler effect. Now I don't have that part recorded twice, so what I usually do is to use a chorus type of plugin to add a bit more width and more of a doubler effect to a vocal, you know, on specific lines if I want to get that effect. But now I'm going to do this with Voice AI. Okay, so I made a copy of my lead vocal and I just kept the line where I want to add that doubler effect. So I have Jasmine on this one, and this is how she sounds like.
It's your responsibility.
But listen to this. Now she sounds already doubled, which is quite cool. And that's because I'm using the Unison mode, which is going to add up to 8 extra voices to this voice. And you can also add pitch variation and timing variation also, and playing with the width. So that means that the vocal needs to be on a stereo channel.
It's your responsibility.
All right, if I blend this with my original.
It's your responsibility.
Perfect. I also made a third copy. This time around, I went with a male voice, Gabriel, and I transposed his voice up to 1 octave.
It's your responsibility.
On its own, it sounds a bit funny, but blended with the rest of the voices,
it's your responsibility.
sounds pretty good. With the music,
it's your responsibility.
pretty cool. If we go into context and we listen to the first line first.
You need to face the time you're wasting. It's your responsibility.
That works pretty well. I'm happy with that. So that is a way I can work with voice AI as a plugin effect, basically. I also have back vocals recorded by Rex again, and they sound like this.
You need to wake up 'cause it's...
All right, I'm going to bring back the lead vocal.
You need to face the time you're wasting. You need to wake up 'cause it's...
So I have 2 doubled harmonies, panned left and right, and I made a copy of each of them and added 4 different voices with voice AI. All of them are in unison mode, some with 3 voices, some with 4, and this is what we get.
You need to face the time you're wasting. You need to wake up 'cause it's your responsibility. It doesn't matter if you've been feeling like you're losing. You're only losing when you're...
That's pretty cool. So now I have like AI voices blended with the original recording. So it's actually pretty nice. Now everything is pretty dry, and the only thing left for me to do would be to mix the vocals together. Okay, now I want to try it on this acoustic song.
Mom said there's mail from the college. Gave me the look like something wasn't right.
Very nice performance from my friend Craig Silver. But what I want to do here is to experiment with instruments. So I recorded a drum groove with my mouth, and this is what I have. So I can take that recording and pick from the drums we have listed here. So electronic drums 1, 2. Let's go with acoustic drums. So let's see how this one is gonna sound like. Interesting. So it's kind of cool, you know. Like I said, it's a very nice pre-production tool, you know, creative tool, good for sound design, and to get some ideas, just to like craft some ideas. Now, I'm not crazy about this sound, but let's try the electronic drums 1. Nice. Okay, with the music.
Mom said there's mail.
Okay, cool, but now I'm missing a bass, so let's go with my mumbling of a bass line. Okay, what I did, this is something important, you know, like I said before, voice AI will replicate all nuanced details you have on the voice. So that means if your voice is pitchy, the result is also going to be pitchy, okay? So what I do on my side when I record my own voice, whether it's to just record a vocal melody or a bass line, like I did right here, is I just pitch correct everything straight to the grid with Very Audio. So this way I have the AI engine to just analyze a performance that is on pitch, okay? And that was quite important for that bass line. That is impressive. Wow. Okay, with the music.
Mom said there's mail from the college. Gave me the look like something wasn't right.
That's cool.
He caught me crying and telling me how.
So that is the kind of tool that would be useful, as far as I'm concerned, to arrange a song, you know? So you have like a perfect example where I'm experimenting with a bass line, a drum groove that I can then afterwards re-record with real acoustic drums, a real bass player, so on and so forth. But at least I have something I can create with. And who knows, like this drum groove, the way it sounds at the moment, could be a good starting point to mix with other samples and just like create a total unique sounding drum groove, okay? Just by using VoiceAI, you know, as a starting point. As far as the pricing goes, we're talking about 99 euros to get the full perpetual license, which gives you access to all voices and instruments. And you can also pay as you go with the purchase of tokens. And inside VoiceAI, if you have the perpetual license, you just select perpetual. If not, you go with the pay as you go, and you know, you'll see the amount of tokens left on your account if this is what you decide to do. So if you want to check it out, there's a 7-day trial available. I'm going to leave the link down below. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this is not the type of tool I would use to replace a full lead vocal recording on a production. I'm always going to stick with a human when it comes to lead vocals. However, using VoiceAI as a vocal effect, like a doubler, like we saw in this video, that can be very useful. And also a very good tool for music producers, beat makers, composers, songwriters, when it comes to build high quality demos, music arrangements, pre-production. You know, that tool can be very useful for that matter. Would this be a tool you would use on your end? Let me know what you think. And until next time, take care and see you.